snack. Me and you gonna have a little chat about books.
Hi guys! So I am here today with a ginormous stack of books that I'm going to try and read in the month of August. So we're going to see how this goes. Literally the stack goes from my lap all the way up to my neck. So it's a pretty big stack. Fingers crossed I can get through a lot of them. I actually nearly managed my giant TBR of last month, so I'm feeling fairly optimistic. I have a lot of books that I really want to get to, so I'm going to show you guys what they are, and hopefully you guys can help me choose which ones to go for first. So, the first one I have on the top of my stack is The Fox by Sherwood Smith. This is the second book in her series. Can't remember what the series is called actually. The Inda series, the Inda Quartet maybe. I read Inda quite a long time ago actually, I think almost a year or more now, and I really enjoyed Inda when I read it. I was going to carry on with The Fox at the time, but then I got other books in the way and I didn't have time, so now I'm very excited to go back to the series. I'm going to be reading this one with Michael and I think also Sam and Paul, so that should be a really fun buddy read. Possibly Connor. Hopefully we all really enjoyed this. I can't wait to get back into the series and give this one a go. I hear this one is a lot more about pirates, so that's exciting. The next one I have is one I'm carrying over from last month. This is We. Apparently it was the first dystopian, sort of the inspiration for 1984. I've heard from a couple of people that they've really enjoyed this when they read it, and I'm going to be reading this one with Amanda. We were going to read it last month, but holidays and such got in the way, so now we're going to read it this month, and it's super short, so I'm definitely thinking that we'll be able to get through this pretty quickly. The next exciting thing that I'm planning to buddy read is Etiquette and Espionage by GAIL CARRIGER. This is the first book in the Finishing School series, which I believe has 3 books. I might be wrong, it might have 4. I only have the first book at the moment, but we are planning to do a buddy read of the whole series, so obviously if I like this one I will go out and buy the rest of the series. Pretty sure I'm going to like it because I have really enjoyed all of GAIL CARRIGER's other stuff. This is her first YA series that I've read. I think all the others have been adult, but I'm sure it'll be just as fun and just as quirky, so I cannot wait to get into this one. And I believe it's set in a finishing school who teaches you all sorts of assassination techniques and poisoning and so on and so forth. So it already reminds me a little bit of Centrinians, and I love that idea, so I can't wait to dive into this series. Staying on the GAIL CARRIGER theme, I'm also going to be picking up the second one in her Custard Protocol series, which is called Imprudence, in the month of August. Also going to be reading this one with Chelsea, so I can't wait to dive into this. I think Sana might be joining us, and it is the second one in the Custard Protocol series. The first was Prudence. I really enjoyed Prudence, so I'm sure that this one will be just as epic and funny. This is a steampunk Victorian setting story with loads of vampires and werewolves and crazy stuff happening, some really great female characters as the leads. Cannot wait to dive back into this series and probably really enjoy it because I did the first. The next one I have to read, I actually have 2 copies of. As you can see, I really like both the covers, I have to say. Let me know in the comments below which cover you like more, because I really like both, and if I like it, I can't decide whether I want to just keep both, give one away, I don't know. I like them both, so let me know down below which one you guys like more. This is The Waking Fire by Anthony Ryan. I believe it's a series, or a start of a series, and the first book focuses on a character who is trying to hunt a dragon to get blood from them, because that blood is imbued with all sorts of magic and will somehow turn the people who drink it or who consume it somehow into like powerful beings. So very interested in the premise. I've heard from Che that this is a really good series, or at least the start book is. She adored it and she thinks that I will like it too, which is good. She said it was a really refreshing take on fantasy and something quite new that she hadn't seen much before, so I'm hopeful that I'll really like it. Fingers crossed I will. Big heavy chunky books though. I'm going to be reading this early in August with Michael as soon as we finish The Fox. I think we're going to go on to this one, so can't wait for that. Next up, I have Central Station by LAVIE TIDHAR, which I'm also going to be reading with Michael. Again, whenever we finish the other 2, we will just go on to this one. I believe that this one is more of a science fiction one. 250,000 people have settled the base of a space station in Tel Aviv. Cultures collide in real life and virtual reality. Humans, machines, and others are interconnected through a flowing digital consciousness. Life may be cheap, but data is cheaper. So it sounds really interesting. I cannot wait to try this one out because I've had it on my shelves for a little while now and I want to get around to it. It's got a beautiful cover. I mean, love that. purple is great anyway, but that's really, really beautiful. So I'm hopeful I'll really like this, and again, I'm going to be reading this with Michael in the month of August. Late in the month of August, so August, September time, I'm going to be reading Dealing with Dragons, and this I'm going to be reading with Giselle and Winks. We have all heard good things from Giselle about this series, and she has just said that she loves it, and it's one of her favourite childhood series, so I'm very hopeful about this. I'm going to go into it and hopefully just have a really good time reading this series and enjoying this series, so can't wait for that. I believe it's about a strong, willful princess who refuses to be a princess and she runs away to live with dragons, so sounds pretty good to me. And now moving on to the books that I just want to get to because they have either been recently released or they're coming out really soon, or I just want to read them. So first up on that list is Dragonflight by Anne McCaffrey. I really want to read this, and it's an older fantasy based in a future world, but it's still kind of a medieval futuristic world, and it's on the world of Pern, where there are dragons ridden by men. The queen is dying, and she has left this golden egg with who knows what inside, but she's dying, so we're not sure how the planet is going to function. And it sounds like a pretty great story involving dragons, so I can't wait to dive into this, and hopefully I will really, really enjoy it. The next one I have on my list is And I Darken by Kierstin White, which I was planning to get to last month but I didn't have time, so I'm hoping to get to it this month. This one has been described as a YA version of Game of Thrones, filled with feminist themes and YA female protagonists. It sounds like it could be a really good one. I'm hopeful that it will be. We'll have to see, but I've heard a few good things and a few bad things, so we'll have to see where I fall in the scale. The next one I have is another one I'm carrying over from last month. This is Hunters and Collectors by SUDDAIN, which I really want to get to because I loved Theatre of the Gods by him, and I recently uploaded my review of that one. This is about a man who goes to this crazy hotel where there are all sorts of very bizarre things happening. Apparently this one is a bit of a genre blender, so it crosses into horror and science fiction. It's also a detective story, and it's just kind of a crazy trip into the author's imagination, which is very much what Theatre of the Gods was as well. Very bizarre, very wacky, very unusual, but really, really fun. So I'm hopeful that I'll really like this as well. The next one I have to read is this one. It is The Last Wish by ANDRZEJ. Not sure if I said that right. It's the first book in the Witcher series, and I was sent this one for review from Galanx. Geralt was always going to stand out with his white hair and piercing eyes, his cynicism and lack of respect for authority. But he is far more than his striking appearance. He is a Witcher with powers that make him a brilliant fighter and a merciless assassin. His target's the vile fiends that ravage the land. So it sounds like it's going to be a pretty dramatic one. I've heard good things about this series generally, so I'm very hopeful that I'll like it. And again, it's not too long actually, so I should be able to get through this one. Another one that I was sent a little while ago is The Invisible Library by Genevieve COGMAN, and I've heard very good things about this series from various different people who've read it. I really want to get to it. It says, Irene is a professional spy for the Mysterious Library, a shadowy organisation that collects important works of fiction from different realities. Most recently, she and her enigmatic assistant Kai have been sent to an alternative London. Their mission, retrieve a particularly dangerous book. The problem, by the time they arrive, it's already been stolen, so it sounds like it could be a really fun one. I think this one might be a YA, but that should be good because it's usually very quick and easy to get through, so hopefully I will enjoy this. The next one I have is Touch of Iron, which is by Timandra Whitecastle, and this one is the first one in the Living Blade series. So the author seemed really, really nice when she sent this one to me. I'm definitely hopeful that I will like it. It says, is the Living Blade real or just a legend? With it, Prince Bashan could win back his kingdom. Master Telan Diaz can free himself of the burden from his past. Owen Smith sees a once-in-a-lifetime chance to gain untold knowledge, but for Nariah Smith, the Living Blade will bring nothing but suffering and sorrow. So it sounds pretty cool, and I can't wait to dive into this one. The next one on my list is Zane Holloway, Assassin for Hire Omnibus by P.T. Hilton, who is one of my friends, and I really have enjoyed the first 3 novellas that make up this collection. There are 6 in there in total, so I just have the second half of this to read. I've really enjoyed the first 3, so I'm very hopeful that I will like the final 3 as well. Cannot wait to check it out, and I will be doing a full review of this once I do, so hopefully I'll love this. I'm sure I will. It's kind of in the same sort of vein as Royce and Hadrian from the Rieria books, or as Locke and Jean from the Gentleman Bastards books. It's kind of sword and sorcery style, so if you like those, you might really like this, so definitely check this one out. And the final one that I have on my list of books to read is On the Other Side by Carrie Fletcher. This one is a very new release, recently came out. I believe it's kind of magical realism-esque. Carrie Fletcher is a YouTuber, so I'm sure many of you guys know her, and this is her first foray into fiction writing, so I'm definitely intrigued and I want to give it a go. I've heard very good things about this actually. A lot of people have said they've really enjoyed it and they were pleasantly surprised, so I'm hoping that that is what I will get from this book as well. As always, very ambitious with my TBR. I would love to hear what you guys are going to be reading in the month of August. If you have done a TBR, link it to me down below, or just tell me in the comments which book you're most excited to read. If there are any on my giant stack of books that you really want me to get to soon, do let me know that in the comments as well, and I will try and prioritise them. Thank you all so much for watching. Good luck with your August TBRs, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!
Thank you for watching my video today. Go pick up a book, then come back and chat with me again.